Here's a crazy fact, only 7% of you guys watching are subscribed, so hit that sub button, it's free, and if you don't like me, you can always unsub in the future. So graphically, I've always thought that Rainbow Six Siege was quite a really beautiful game to look at. A lot of us kind of overlook this because we turn our graphic settings down so we can get better frames when we're streaming and just when we're playing in ranked, but Siege has always been a visually stunning game even up until this point. And when it comes to video games, there'll always be that limit into how realistic you can make the game look before it becomes impossible to be used on most hardware, and how much impact it will have on the performance of the game. And so, since Siege is a multiplayer only mode, there isn't really a campaign in which we can delve in these operators more. A lot of the lore comes from written stuff and animated trailers. And by now, I'm sure many of you guys have seen these CGI trailers which have been made for Rainbow Six Siege, and these are actually made by a company known as Digic Picutres. And recently, they uploaded a lot of their portfolio for the Sisters in Arms cinematics and previous cinematics which have been released in Rainbow Six Siege. So I thought it'd be quite cool to take a look through a lot of what these operators look like if they were in real life, because guys, the level of realism that these guys actually create with their CGI animations is absolutely phenomenal, and honestly there isn't anything else like it. Starting off, we have the one for Sam Fisher, and you can literally see how in detail these actually are, and I assume going forward it's going to be the similar face sculpt that he has in Rainbow Six Siege and in this animation, which they're probably going to use in the Splinter Cell remake as well. I do actually think that the Splinter Cell remake will probably show how Sam went from the events of the Splinter Cell games into Team Rainbow, showing a more unified universe. But yeah, hopefully they are hiring this team for the Splinter Cell remake as well, because imagine seeing Sam in CGI cutscenes or just the trailer for the game looking this high definition. Next up, we have Wamai. Now, we actually don't really see a lot of Wamai in the lore, despite being the second-hand man to Kali, but it is genuinely just incredible to look at these, and it just looks like they've pulled them straight out of the game and just made them look realistic, because this looks like a real person. If you'd show a normal person this, they'd probably think this was a real person and not CGI. Yeah, he looks absolutely sick, and I hope we see more of Wamai in the future. Next up, we of course have Kali, and she does actually seem she is wearing her elite uniform as well, which is really cool. I actually like the detail that you can see some makeup around her eyes as well. It definitely does bring a lot more life to these characters, and who knows, maybe one day we'll actually get a full-fledged series. I doubt it would be in this level of CGI though, because this does cost a lot of money to produce. Rather, if we ever did get one, it would probably be in the anime style, which we get in a lot of trailers as well. Next up, we have Finka. This is a really cool one. We really do get to see how highlighted and blurred that scar across her face is. It's actually quite toned down in the game, but in this, it is really obvious to see. Of course, she actually got that scar when she was training with Kapkan, and he accidentally cut her in the face, which resulted in her breaking Kapkan's ribs. And yeah, she looks absolutely sick in CGI. Next up, we have Ash. You know, it's Ash. We've seen her in CGI for a while now. Ever since the Outbreak event, actually, we've been seeing her in CGI quite a bit. Fun random fact, by the way, I'm a massive Zelda fan. If you guys have played Breath of the Wild, Age of Calamity, and most likely the upcoming Tears of the Kingdom as well, the English voice actress for Zelda in those games is the same voice actor who does Ash, which you wouldn't really expect, but I guess that just goes to show how good that voice actress is and how much of a range she has. Next up, we have Aruni, and she looks absolutely incredible as well. Of course, she also has a scar on her face. This occurred in an operation in Bangkok years before they joined Team Rainbow, where Aruni and Thermite were disarming a bomb on a moving truck. Truck ended up getting rammed, and the bomb exploded, leaving Aruni with 2 missing limbs and a scar on her face. And now we also have some ones from the Sisters in Arms cinematic as well, of course, starting with Ella, and we actually have a few variants of Ella. We have her sort of default looking look without a hat on. We also have one in her elite skin where she has that sort of blonde and green hair. There's also another one of her in uniform when her and Zofia were both serving together. We've got one of her in more casual gear. I believe this is when her father died and she went to the firing range. And you've also got the undercover operative version of her as well. These are absolutely incredible, because not only are we now getting to see Ella in her default look, we're getting to see her in many different uniforms, some of which aren't even in Siege. And she looks absolutely incredible. They've done such a good job of bringing her to life, and of course she is quite prominent in the lore right now, as is her sister Zofia, which we also get to see as well. Once again, we have her default headgear and uniform, looks absolutely sick. We also get to look at her elite skin as well. She also has another look of her in her time serving with Ella, and we have once again another undercover look as well. Once again, all of these look absolutely phenomenal, and it's just absolutely fascinating how realistic CGI has become and how talented the people making these truly are. So next up, we have Smoke. Now this one is cool for 2 reasons. Not only are we seeing him in realistic CGI, but this was also the first time we actually saw his face ever since Rainbow Six Siege came out, and he looks absolutely sick. Once again, we do get to see some facial scarring which he has on the side of his head. He actually got this from a failed science experiment, and what I really appreciate about the CGI and how they look here is how rugged he actually looks and how in-depth they actually show it, because in game, yes, he does look really cool, but he does doesn't look as severely scarred as he actually is in the lore. This level of CGI and detail really gets to show us what the lore makers are really trying to show us when they are developing these characters, and it's really cool for that reason. And next up we actually have IQ, and I honestly wasn't expecting to see this one at all, considering that she has only been in the backgrounds of the cinematics and hasn't had any speaking role. Gregor said that this looks like Skylar White, and I can now no longer see it, so thanks for that one, Gregor. But yeah, I'm sure the IQ sims from years ago are absolutely loving this new look at IQ. Now the final three I managed to find are actually for Rainbow Six Extraction, but it's the same operators just in different universes, so they do look the same still. First up we have Lion, who looks absolutely incredible. Of course, Lion's face has been shown more and more recently. And his face was actually designed by Sunstark, who started off as a community artist and now is actually a concept artist for Ubisoft on Rainbow Six Siege. Next up we have Nomad, looking really cool in her extraction gear. I think they managed to capture her likeness extremely well, and Nomad's actually a character I'm starting to like a lot more in the lore as well, so expect to see a video of her coming in the near future. And the final extraction one here is once again Ella, but we can see that it is the same face sculpt as it was used in the Sisters in Arms cinematic as well, so they have kept that same level of consistency, which is really good to see. So it seems like there's just so many variations of Ella now, but hey, I'm not complaining. And so despite there being more operators still in the cinematics, when it comes to the art book with these high quality images of them, these are the only ones that we have. Of course, looking at the cinematics, we do know that, you know, like there's ones for Sledge, Pulse, Thatcher, Dokkaebi, Cav, Doc, Mozzie. There's still an insane amount of roster of high quality images of operators which they have made, and I can only imagine the amount of effort which they put into each one of these operators is absolutely insane. Because I will be showing one of these cinematics in the background, and you can just see how many operators they actually have in a scene at one time. They had to make each of these operators from its source material, make them look as realistic as possible, place them in realistic looking scenes, make them all move naturally, and pass them off as being as realistic as possible, even though at the end of the day, this is all just animation. The level of work here is absolutely phenomenal, which I can't say I've seen on any other standard. And honestly, as a Siege fan, seeing all this stuff is actually amazing, and I cannot wait to see what more cinematics we get in the future. So if you guys would like to take a look through these art books as well, I will have them all linked in the description below. It not only shows the concept of how all these operators were made, but the different scenes, the storyboards, and little descriptions about each part. I highly recommend taking a look at it if you are as interested as I am, because it is absolutely incredible. Anyway guys, I'm going to end this video here, so be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about these realistic versions of the operators from Rainbow Six Siege? Be sure to drop a like on this video if you did enjoy, dislike it or not. I shall catch you all later. I love you all. Stay safe. Peace.